Have you ever asked yourself what makes you smile? Because there's an opportunity to look at this one golden ticket we have here in life and open yourself up to choosing to smile at absolutely everything, including misfortune, hardship, and loss. Because if you look at the flip side of that, without those experiences, you either have nothing, which means you're dead, or you're in a state of never being challenged, never going deeper, never scraping through life's tough bits to get down to the simplest, most flourishing sources of happiness. And you're never going to be sharpening your pencil. You're never going to be growing without those challenges. So it's really hard to think of anything that might not be worth smiling at. And it's hard to think about that because there's a lot of hardship in the world. I've had things done to me. I've had things happen to me. And I can certainly understand that globally, there's a lot of tragedy that occurs every day. Yet, the truth of the way we live on Earth is that what we are experiencing is the truth of humanity. It's the truth of animal nature, and it's the truth of what we are here to experience and champion. For better or for worse, dirty or clean, life is a sponge, and we're here to be squeezing what we can out of that sponge. And that's all that there is. And the absence of that, maybe there's a life afterwards that is easier. But right now, for the choices I have between now and death, I would say that if we can find a way to smile and cherish every part of our human experience and then squeeze that sponge for the essence, for the learning, get things even more simplified down to the highest value people, environments, and things in our life, if you can just extract to get to the very essence of what makes you tick and what makes you smile, I think you can turn everything in life into a gift that makes you smile. So, where did this all come from and how is it part of kindedge.com? So, you've heard me talk on kindedge.com about unlocking the alternate ending to your life and really getting in motion with the thing that makes you tick sustainably, the endless well of energy of the thing you want, that you're driven to create, the thing that you know is your secret sauce that you were meant to be doing here on earth, the stamp you want to leave on earth before you die, rather than just doing what you see other people doing or what an employer wants you to do in a very rote, known, repeatable way, and so on. So somebody just asked me, hey, just flippantly, hey, what makes you smile? And I responded, everything. My gut response was everything, including hardship, misfortune, and loss, as they are all parts of this one golden ticket on earth. And because this person asked this in a text, I'm just looking at my notes a little bit here. And I even took pause a little bit later after responding that way, because I'm very careful to analyze myself in terms of I've gotten to know my strengths and my weaknesses, and I know I have very big blind spots. I have opportunities where, maybe my ego gets ahead, or a little bit of bravado where I want to say, I see the glass half full always. And is that always true? And I looked through a handful of really challenging times over the last 5 plus, even 10 years. And I quite literally have pictures of myself smiling in those instances and finding ways to laugh in the hardship. And yet it wasn't false bravado. It wasn't a false veneer. I was creating a very truthful, authentic, safe environment for me and for the people I love. For example, to feel bad authentically and to feel good authentically, right? Not to be like, oh, it's okay, everything's perfect, or aha, I can get through this. It wasn't about that, but it was like, hey, yeah, we're doing this here now. Hey, yeah, we're going to have to do this differently. It's going to be harder. It's going to be messier. And so I can think through a whole bunch of examples where this is true, and where by digging in and by saying, okay, I'm going to dig in and find the gift in this hardship. There's always a gift that you can dig in and find. And as I dig in and find that gift, I end up with the closest circle of people around me is a better curated, consciously curated, as I talk about on kindedge.com, consciously curating the people, the things, and the environments in which you live. And so in all these instances, I think my gut response to this person who was asking, what makes you smile? And when I say it's everything, no matter what, I can look at a bunch of examples to say that that is true and that I did squeeze that sponge and extract the gift and the learning and the better simplicity and the denser experience of goodness around me by making tougher choices that make you have to really see the black and white difference between who you'll invest 1 minute in, what you'll invest 1 minute in, the environment you'll invest $1 in. So it's a really great gift to look at life this way, to say, this is our one golden ticket. And all of these experiences are part of it. Perfection is not an option. Lack of vulnerability is not an option. Never having something done to you or happen to you is probably not an option. So as I go through my notes and the things that I thought about is, again, I did sit back and say, is that really true? Am I just kind of being too brave? And that's not really true. And I did have these actual real pictures, photographs of me writing my hero's tale. And again, when you write your hero's tale, it's not just about pounding forward without reflection. It's reflecting and finding and revising your path forward because of what you learned, because of what you gained. Kind of, someone with a band of merry men plowing forward to the next challenge. And my son, I've mentioned this once before. My son, actually, I have a clipping that I used to have on the fridge and I still have it saved somewhere. My son once wrote to me and said, he shared with me what I had said to him. And as I continued to go through challenges, he sent it back to me. So he sent me my own words that he had held on to, and he sent it back to me. And I was appreciative, and it was fun to see my own perspective being useful. And it was, sometimes the hero's reward is the opportunity to fight the next dragon. And so the gifts that you gather in your experiences aren't always rewarded with just a downhill stroll or a smooth path. But as you gather these gifts, and you gather the wisdom, and you gather people around you, and you have clarity on what you include in your life and what you don't include in your life. Sometimes, yes, you are approached by just one more goddamn dragon, but you take what you've grown as your toolbox and you pull out all of those things, and you're a little bit more skilled and you're a little bit more efficient in how you slay that next dragon. Anything that you can do with a little bit more skill, a little bit more mastery, a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more efficiency is going to impact others around you. And certainly anybody who rubs shoulders with you and grabs any bit of your learnings, they benefit from your learnings as well. So you can find a way to smile even in these challenges. And so, one example I'll throw out is that I have had, stage 3 cancer. I had 2 9-hour surgeries, several years of treatment afterwards, some radiation, some dangerous things. I'm monitored still, but I'm very much in the clear of that. I had metastases up to my skull, those 2 9-hour surgeries, a whole bunch of stuff. I had to change a lot of things about my life. But wow, do I know about every bit. I've have people ask, am I a dietitian? Am I a doctor in the way that I'm able to talk about things? I'm like, no, I'm just constantly gathering the latest. I paid thousands of dollars to attend a medical summit. Anything where I can just say, what is the best, latest, and greatest I can capture, and then incorporate that into my own health practices. And how can I do it from a root cause? So I'm not taking medicines, but I'm doing the root inputs of health and so on and so forth. And yet still have fun, because I'll say one of my 2 key doctors at Stanford Hospital in California, when I had those surgeries, at the end of all these treatments, 2 years, whatever, I said, so I've been doing all this and this, and I was very strict. And I said, am I allowed to drink wine? And he said the greatest thing. He said, honey. Maybe he didn't say honey, but I think he did, because I remember it was late on a Friday. He was calling me back. And I was like, it was like I was finally off certain medication and off certain treatments. And I'm like, am I allowed to have wine? And he said, he He told me he was heading out of the Palo Alto area into the mountains because he was like, "You're my last call before I go on this weekend trip. So I just wanted to catch you." This is Willard Fee at Stanford Hospital, lovely doctor. And he also did a lot of charity medical work. And so he said, "Honey, I didn't save your life just so you could live the rest of it without wine." And I said, "Amen, mofo. Thank you." And so, yeah, I do enjoy my wine still in a sustainable way, in a way that's not going to send me backwards. Yeah. So when people talk about getting old, I smile when people say, "How old are you?" And I say, "I'm 53. I smile. I love it because guess what? If you're not 53, you're pushing up daisies. You're dead. If you're not 59, if you're not 47, if you're not 32, if that number isn't moving, you've lost it. You've lost the whole game. And that's not what we want to be doing. We want to smile at every birthday. So even if it's a big number, smile at that birthday. That's absolutely amazing. Because I'm not sure if your birthday will be more fun in the afterlife. I can't make that promise. Find joy and fascination in all the things that life offers. And this is a little bit preachy, but it's really just what I reflected on when I saw my gut response to this random question. And then I thought, no, this is a really good core mindset. And it does align with kindedge.com in terms of we're living in a path of experimentation, of forward motion, taking action to unlock the alternate ending to your life, to really get in motion in practically daily terms. But as you get in motion, things are not going to be perfect. And where you are right now, the starting point is not going to be perfect, but you can smile at that imperfection. And I've had, you've heard me talk in the past about many layers of imperfection. Be able to find the joy and the fascination and those things that we experience. I see my best self, healthy joy, and all my hardship because those times I've dug deeper, I simplify, and that's a big part of this is as things get tough, you do have to make tougher choices, and that's part of the conscious curation of Kindedge, and that's what I tested on myself, and that's part of why I found with Kindedge of this goal setting and the process and reaching your goal. There's also the foundational element that I call Kindedge 360, which is I realized I couldn't just keep doing all the things that I've always done. I couldn't keep up with all the Joneses. I had to make these really difficult choices and simplify down to the absolute essence of where my minutes would go in each day, each week, and each month, because you can't do all the things. And if you look out at the world around you, you'll think it's normal to go to so-and-so's party and stay out till 2 a.m. But if we really say, my goal, and in the next year, it's really important to me, and next 2 years, it's really important to me to see myself as a marathoner. I want to become a marathoner, and I don't want that to be delayed another 3, 4, 5 years. You realize you cannot also include in your life the 2 a.m. parties because you need to get up and do your marathon training in the morning. And you say, "Oh, I thought that I go party at 2 a.m. and I also become a marathoner." And you start to learn the vast unchoosing that I talk about, which is no, as making the choices that fit for you, you have to get such clarity in the beginning that you're grounded in the fact that you are becoming a marathoner and you are no longer going to be much of a 2 a.m. partier. If you can find the friends that align with your goals, you kind of rebuild and you recurate the group of friends that align with your goals. And then maybe on New Year's Eve or whatever, you still go. But I'll tell you, I've had some New Year's Eves where I go to bed early and it's really fun getting up and being the first person at the gym on January 1st. That's like a fun thing for me, is to be the first people at the gym on January. Then the people that you walk in there are all that kind of person with that kind of mojo. And then you see that conscious curation of just the places when you really revise your circles. You're at the gym with the people that walked in January 1st, first thing. So you have something in common with that new world of people, and that's going to grow, and that momentum's going to grow, and you're going to be chatting with somebody and they're going to say, "Oh, you're interested in that? Wow, I've got somebody to get you in touch with," right? You see how these things just build and grow. And so it all starts with this mindset and then these choices and simplifying. So if you've got difficulty, if you've got barriers, or if it's just hard for you it's hard for you to do everything, just smile at that. Say, yeah, that's a tough choice. I'm going to find a way to smile at those tough choices. I'm going to find a way to smile and embrace that life and the minutes in the day are never enough, and you do have to make choices because those choices end up being gifts. One of the great examples here is in this space where I'm doing some of my videos recently. As you know, 2 hurricanes hit in fall. 2 hurricanes hit my house. One flooded it, one hit it with wind. And so it's literally been a year almost. It's now July. And just this week, I'm finally getting walls because finally there was a little alignment and a little movement with insurance, city permitting, contractors, and more other powers that be. We finally got them all to shake hands once and we're getting walls. So yay. But I have been renting this video recording space, this podcast room, and it's been a heck of a lot of fun because when I have to go out and do this, I've become a regular in this space. It's an environment that has a coffee shop built in and that kind of thing. And so the 2 team members at the coffee shop, we kind of have built our rapport and had more and more conversations. And as you may know from my other videos, one of my favorite exercise forms is ballet. And I grew up studying ballet. And so turns out they're like, oh, I saw in your video, you do ballet. Blah, blah. And so they turn out to be ex-ballerinas as well, ballet enthusiasts. So I now have this like new expanded community of people who we sit there and talk shop about ballet. And now they're part of my normal community. So even when my walls are all fixed at my house, I'll probably still rent this recording space because it's kind of a new community. And then there's a couple other people in this building who now we know each other so well. It's a good morning. How are you? Giving each other hugs. How are things going? We all know where each other's coming from. Wow, what a gift. That's totally cool that, I could have cried a little pity party about my house not being podcast ready or videocast ready. But what a gift for me to be moved into a different space and have these new communities and grows my network and with really good people, really, really good people. So that's been a blast. And then I also have had the whole concept of me vlogging. I'm an introvert and I didn't want to do videos. So for years I was just blogging, and I yet committed to blogging or creating content for kindedge.com every day. So every day, rain or shine, even if I've got guests in town, I'm like, I get up at 5:30, I go hide, I do something. If it's Christmas, I find a way to create some content and do some writing in a notebook. I am committed to doing this 365. And so during the hurricane, after the first hurricane, my house was completely trashed. And then we had to escape for the second hurricane, and all the escapees were on the road. So it took 6 hours just to get to Orlando. And so I was like, well, there's no crying in baseball, right? I'm going to smile. My house is trashed. Da, da, da. I've got my dog in the car. I've got dog food bags and things in the car. I don't know if I'll be coming home to, like, the weather predictions were saying my house is going to be flattened, disappeared, gone. And I know that is happening in Texas right now, which, I mean, watching the videos, my heart just goes out to them. But that was what I was told I was going to come back to based on what they predicted for the next hurricane and floods. And so even in the face of all of that, I said, the one big rock, the one big thing is my legacy. I have committed to leaving my mark on earth with kindedge.com. And that is a legacy to my kids and one other person on earth. One of you, somebody out there needs something I have to offer. And I will continue to leave this legacy before I die. And at that point, before everything disappears, which is what I was afraid of, or what I was being told by the weather folks. And so I was like, well, I'm stuck in the car. I guess I better create content as I've committed to. And so I was forced to start extroverting with a vlog. And you can see my first couple videos on kindedge.com are, the worst moving, shaky camera videos, walking in the hotel. My hair was all wet from escaping the hurricane because it was just crazy. And so yet I just said, all right, we're extroverting. We're doing this. No crying in baseball. We can keep smiling even with this challenge because I have a higher purpose. And my higher purpose isn't about making everything perfect or pointing fingers, or sometimes there's issues with hurricanes, insurance, contractors, and permits. I've talked to attorneys, I've talked to all the powers that be, but sometimes I can't fix those problems. But what I can do is build something better. And so if I'm creating and building something better, if my house is trashed, which my house has been trashed, there still is no kitchen, there still is no bathrooms. It's just that I'm getting walls. I'm just happy to be getting walls. Still no doors on the bathroom door or anything like that, but I'm getting walls. I'm just happy for that. So when I go home in a couple of days, I will actually have walls. And so didn't get stuck in that. I didn't just wallow in that. And I asked myself, what is it that I want to happen in these days and minutes that are tough and difficult? But what do I want to happen? And I said, I want to continue with this passion project of mine, to continue to deliver, because I can never predict if I'm going to die tomorrow, but I can take action today to unlock the alternate ending to my life with the mission of helping others with the methodology, the step-by-step methodology that I've built on kindedge.com. So you see how these things all, it's like, it's all connected. Everything is connected, and it's all in the mind, in the body, the soul, in the environments you choose, and the processes that you rely upon and build for yourself. Do what works in real life. So I also, as part of this video practice, I had to get some folks to help me out. And so I built teams with people, and I'm just going to call out to Elle. Elle's one of my team members, and she and I have built such a close relationship, and we live totally different lives, but I think we both embrace each of our growth journeys. Yeah. So just like her and many other people that I'm now getting connected to, it's built this new network of people who want to make, people who want to do, people who want to go color a little bit outside of the lines. And so I think it's really cool. And I'm grateful for that, because it's made me, it makes the work joyful. For all of my 20 years in corporate communications, change management for large global clients, I enjoyed the work, and I do enjoy that work still. But there are times where the product you create is not for a higher purpose. It's for a bottom line dollar purpose. And it's for shareholder value and very business oriented purposes. And it's not always completely about a higher purpose. It doesn't always, you can work 24/7 and in large global change management consulting programs with huge organizations. When you're in a project, you are working almost 24/7 because the machine never turns off, and there's always emergencies along the way, and deadlines and cross teams, and fighting goals and that kind of thing, warring goals between teams, departments, regions, etc. Active legal shareholder, there's all these different things. So it gets very challenging. And so that work is very output oriented. And it doesn't necessarily, it's a ton of work and it's your best work, but it doesn't always feel like it's leaving a mark as far as your legacy and higher purpose and your bespoke message that you want to leave, or the gift you want to hand over to somebody and say, here, this is my learning. I want you to have this. And so that is work. It is valuable. Any career is valuable. Quality work is valuable. But by the same token, it is very rewarding to be digging into a passion project where I do feel like every bit of learning, every bit of experience is a joy. And the people that are doing this with me it's like this magical, like, ooh, we did that. Ooh, we figured that out. Ooh, that was fun. And everybody's gaining something. So anyhow, I'm grateful for that. It's just a gift. And that gift came from the hurricanes forcing me to do videos, because I couldn't write every day. I couldn't write while I was driving in a car for 6 hours and taking care of I was reaching to the back to help to get my dog water and food and all that kind of thing. So that's a gift on a tough day. And certainly it's easy to smile on the easy days. Higher purpose, growth. There's been a lot of hugely challenging times. I'll talk about, we can talk about death. I've lost many people in my life, and you can't say you're going to smile the day they die, but you can smile, for example, when you have a shared experience with others with loss. That is part of life. Loss is a part of life. And the more you don't let loss make you feel isolated, the more you keep yourself open and vulnerable, you will connect with others through that shared experience. And ears, sharing, these are ways that we can connect and say, Yes, this is part of the human experiences, and I will remain open to connection with others through these hard times, and that will bring a smile to your face. And in addition, even though, for example, I, remember when my father passed away, my father was a wonderful, just wonderful, wonderful, beloved man, and he did many good things for others and so on. And yet I know that my siblings and I keep his memory alive in us in the way that we're raising our children. And so that is a gift. So it's there. Certainly it would have been a gift to have more time with him, but I'm not going to be chintzy on the gift. I'm going to say that those 50 years that he lived were of value. His life of 50 years was of value. Would have loved a few more because I was only 21 when he passed away, but I certainly would not do anything to question what the world and a greater power in life gave me. I would say that is the piece. That's what I'm going to squeeze. That's the bit I'm going to squeeze the best out of and make sure I'm handing it to my kids as far as his mindsets, his gifts, his wisdom, his spirit. I try to hand those down. And I guess the last vignette that comes through my mind when I think about, tough times when I smiled is there's a picture, a quite literal picture of me smiling in front of a Christmas tree. And I'm in like a grayish blue dress at a Christmas party. And my two sons are standing at my side in front of the Christmas tree. And we were at a Christmas party, an annual Christmas party that a friend hosts. And we were there in front of the Christmas tree smiling for a picture. And it looks simple. And I think anybody would look and say, that's so simple. That woman with her nice life is sitting there with her nice sons, smiling in front of a perfect Christmas tree. All is well. When in fact, what was happening there is over the prior 5 months, and after 20 years of similar experiences, but very much more so in the 5 months, I had been jumping and responding to protect myself from somebody who was gambling hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money. And every time this would occur, I would leap to save the day and protect that money and try. I would just turn into a little flailing warrior trying to stop. And then I would get things calm and then it would happen again. I would get things calm and it would happen again, to the degree that there are people who speak of things called complex PTSD. So there's these types of repeated experiences can create a total perseverance in you so that you're never actually in your own skin. You're never actually calm because you are so unsafe and you have lost so much in real life. Like it's not just a worry or it's not anxiety. It's a real life. It has happened and it's currently happening. Tectonic plates are constantly currently moving beneath you and you have no safe place to stand ever. I had experienced that for decades, and then I had experienced it very acutely in that prior 5 months. And I have documentation. I can speak about this because I have very overt documentation about this. And so it's in official records, court records, etc. It is the truth. And so I don't talk a lot about this, but if you can imagine how terrifying that is and how out of control it is. But what I did do is I decoded those tough times. And even though I had mentors and therapists and gurus and people, nobody actually helped me do what is really part of the essence of like these really decoding everything about your life in kindedge.com is none of the experts, methodologies, guru, all these things I had spent all my time on I had looked to these experts to say, make me safe, make this all better, make me safe. When in fact, I looked deep into this, and this is what I decoded, is no matter how I responded to these threats and aggressive acts and truancies and just terrible repeated experiences, no matter what action I took, even if that action was trying to defend, trying to stop, trying to halt the problems, every single action as I looked at the past was a little bit like me being a puppet with strings on me. So every time I responded, no matter what the response was, I was a puppet with strings on me. And the whole trick of someone else doing something bad to you is that when you respond, you get off your game. You say, my higher purpose is this. My life mission is this. What I want to be doing today in order to build for tomorrow and build my legacy is this. And when somebody does something bad to you, horrible to you, You're pulled off your higher purpose, your secret sauce, your stamp, the thing you want to leave here on earth. If you have a gift to give, it is muted and silenced because you go off to run to attorneys to fight the badness. You go off to strategize. You go off to figure out how to stop the badness that some other aggressor is doing. And I got the wisdom because I could see time ticking. I saw decades tick, and then I saw these continued weeks and months ticking, and this aggression and madness still occurring. And so once again, the horrible experience, I was at that Christmas party, and once again, because I was having a moment of joy and happiness, enjoying my two sons with beautiful people that I love, a beautiful holiday party. And I look at that picture and I remember that for the 100th time, my phone started to go off with alerts and the bank was saying, ching, ching, $10,000, $10,000, $10,000. It was happening again. I was being robbed. Gambling was occurring. Very bad, horrible things were happening. And you know what I told myself? Is I said, no matter how much someone deletes from this bank account, my higher purpose, the gifts I have to give, will rebuild that manifold. I challenge myself to untie from the strings that would have me run and find my keys, leave that holiday party, feel like my whole life is worthless and that I can't even sit quietly at a holiday party. I can't enjoy my life. I can't get in flow. I can't do my projects because I'm always tied to a string like a puppet where somebody else can do a horrible thing and I run to grasp onto whatever's left. And I sat there and grew. I mean, if you think about, it's almost like the Grinch who stole Christmas is like when his heart grew. I sat there and I had worked on this wisdom for quite a while, but I hadn't tested. Can I actually cut that puppet string? Can I cut it? Do I have it in me? Do I have that muscle for change in me? And I sat there at that Christmas party with my phone going, and I said, listen, you mofo, cut that string. I can rebuild many times over with myself, by myself, anew. I have the power. I have the strength. I have the secret sauce. And I wrote my hero's tale from that day on. And I sat in front of that Christmas tree and knowing that horrible things were happening in my bank account, that it was just going to be another run to the attorneys, another scraping, another shutting down of all the accounts that I had done 100 times before. I let the photographer take the picture. I smiled with my sons and I sat for the rest of the party. I sipped my wine. I enjoyed my friends. I ate delicious food and I had a wonderful night. And never again will I have strings on me. I am not a puppet. So and since then, I've rebuilt things, and then the hurricane hits and trashes my house, and a whole bunch of other challenges keep occurring. There have been daily, incisive little challenges, and all I do is become stronger. I'm ready for any dragon. I'm very centered, and certainly there are ways you could probably punch me in the gut that would probably break me. There probably are a few ways that could happen, but I really try to seek and say, if I have these minutes left, what is the gift I can give? I won't go into every type of pain. I know that many families have much pain. I also see that with what minutes are left, that people find a way to leave at least one gift with what they learn, what they experience, what they can share, and what they can hand down to others here on earth. Because we're all doing the same thing over and over. Every 100 years, there's a whole new population of people living this same journey here on earth. We might as well take what we can, hand it down, and leave a gift behind for others. So that's my little story for today. And I'm thankful for the friend or person who said, what makes you smile? Because those are all the things that make me smile. And I hope that some of that resonates with you. And I would say if there's a morsel of something tough, leave a note down below in the comments and let me know the gift that you have found in anything tough and what later on you found could actually make you smile related to that. So I hope you'll join me on kindedge.com. It's a journey to unlock the alternate ending to your life and drive big change of any sort in small, doable steps. And it's a journey that's not going to be easy, but it's going to be fun. You can subscribe to my email list on kindedge.com. And this video, if you subscribe and share, I would love for this to connect with anybody that you feel is interested in this kind of journey and this type of topic and this type of growth. So, wow, it's only Monday for me here. I don't know what day it is when you're watching this, but this is a good Monday so far. Peace.